Hello, everyone. This morning, I kind of thought how I can bring value to the audience, and obviously we know each other for quite a while, and I was just recalling the recent YouTube video that I've seen of David Sinclair talking about his new book, and we always start our dialogue with the audience with one question: Who can I have a show of hands? Who want to live to 100? And we usually see a pretty disappointing result. 15 to 20% of people just showing their hands. And my thought was, why is that? And this is a pretty generic presentation, but what I wanted to bring to our dialogue today is one communication piece: how and what we should be communicating to general public to get people more excited about things that we do. And I obviously like the new take that Aubrey presented today, that he's not doing longevity. Longevity is a byproduct of all what we do. And second, I can basically probably spend more time on investor perspective. I'm rather new to the sector, not to investing, but investing in longevity. And just sharing some thoughts of and reflections, what I've seen for the last year might be useful as well. So it's called 7 Signs of Longevity Revolution. We all have our 1, 3, or more signs. There's going to be more of it during the presentation. I've constructed 7 signs so that everyone can find something which relates to their mind or their heart. Sign number 1. I'm a great believer that world is becoming much better place to live, and world is becoming much more longevity friendly rather than what we think is. When you open up media today, you have a sense that the world is just falling apart. Well, it's not the case. Look at China. I'm a big fan of China, what they do. For the last 10 years, it was China and India added like 10% timberlands to their timberland holding. China just closed hundreds of coal generating plants around big cities like Shanghai and Beijing. China have 500,000 electric buses on the streets, and last time I checked, the figure for US was probably 500 or so. Or driverless cars, with very low penetration of driverless cars in today's world. I mean, if you're driving driverless car, if you're having driverless car experience, your chances to get to the accident is like 10 times less than if you're just doing this yourself. And this is before arrival of plant-based and or lab-grown meat. I think it was the first time this year when KFC. I think I've seen a huge queue of people trying to buy some of their products. They haven't seen it for many, many years, and obviously, plant-based food, will help us to solve a lot of problems which is currently accumulated in meat and milk and fish producing value chain. So I think all of this great, and what I also like in today's world is that we tend to think about our Apple Watch or Fitbit as an activity tracker. It's not activity tracker anymore. It's your personalized healthcare device. And I actually, every time I was talking about this thing, I added Fitbit just for the sake of variety. I didn't want to sound like only Apple advocate until 2 weeks ago. I think it was Google who bought Fitbit, so I'm probably going to stay on this device for a while. But we're obviously aware of that. The current version of Apple Watch, can take electrocardiogram, can detect 5 different types of heart deficiencies, can actually detect when you fall down in the streets or your loved one, and call the ambulance for you. And I think more to come. And I would not be surprised if in the next few generations, your Apple Watch or Fitbit will be able to detect abnormal blood pressure or looking at glucose level, etc. And I mean, my belief, I'm obviously not a professional doctor, is probably 90% of the data that you need to monitor on a regular basis. And this is before we talk about artificial intelligence. It's IBM Watson is not in fashion anymore, but our doctors equipped with AI has a much better job in diagnostic, at least to killer monsters, which is heart diseases and cancer. What else? When you think about healthcare today, you think about insurance companies, you think about healthcare providers, you think about big pharma. In 10 years' time, when we're going to be talking about healthcare, I would argue that biggest healthcare companies on earth are going to be Apple, Google, Amazon, and I think Apple has shown their ability to disrupt many industries, and Amazon as well. So I would not be surprised if, as Morgan Stanley predicted very early this year, that half of Apple revenue going to be coming from healthcare platform that they're building. So actually, that's one of the first questions that we ask ourselves and our companies that we're about to invest from Longevity Vision Fund is, are you guys, can you be part of Apple and Amazon and Google ecosystem, or are you trying to do something which then will face competition from this company or Chinese players? So that's important, but it's obviously very exciting from human health perspective. We had a conversation this morning with a few of us, and the question was, how do we see the evolution of longevity sector as an investment sector? And I think my realization is the reason we don't have a lot of funding and inflow of capital in longevity-related subjects is because, if you go to pharmacy today, what's the definition of pharmacy of UK? It's Boots, right? If you go to Boots today and ask, can I have medicine against aging? They would just think you're kind of crazy, or you just seen a lot of advertising of supplements. So, until aging will be recognized as disease, I don't think we'll see the same inflow of capital into the space, which obviously complement to all of us because we are a little bit early there, but hopefully not too early. And I'm very happy to see just a lot of advancements in different countries and different parliaments where these questions is being discussed. What else? And I'm usually using cancer as example of what can happen with only 70 to 80 billion of R&D money inflowing something every year. Think about 20 years. People were delaying the day when they knew whether they have cancer or not. Because cancer for many people automatically meant a kiss of death. It's not anymore. It's very difficult disease. We're not there yet, but 6 out of, when I started to work on that, 2008 or 2006 figures for US, top revenue selling drugs in US, it was only one anti-cancer drug, and the rest was Viagra, statins, etc. So right now it's 6 out of 10. It's obviously a reflection of how expensive this whole thing is, but we've seen, in our history, we've seen many cases when something starts on a very expensive side, and it's just becoming more and more affordable and accessible. So my dream is the aging to become the next cancer in regulatory and economic opportunity terms. And let's bring us to the other very futuristic topic. When we were thinking about our assets allocation for Longevity Vision Fund, we created this kind of third horizon, day after tomorrow, when the definition of human mind and body will be very different. So we're talking about augmented humans. And I kind of thought there's no way we should, and we could invest more than 3% of our capital into that. But what we discovered, the elements of a future definition of human is already here. So we're looking at 3 human avatars company, 2 from Japan and 1 from California right now. And thanks to our colleagues from Juvenescence, we've been able to join the current funding for Ligenesis. So I think this part of the future is really far away, and I'm actually waiting for this with combination of excitement and fear, like many of us. But I actually think that it's might arrive a little bit faster than we think. And finally, what I also like, and it's reflection of more and more people coming to the longevity conferences, investing in longevity, spending their money, lives, and dedication on longevity. And it's great that economics of aging is becoming positive, not only in our books and in our minds, but I'm a big fan of Vitality UK. This is my takeaway of this year. I spent amazing half of the day with management team this summer. It's great that, we're just going through understanding of that into like really using that. And for some of you who don't know that the plan that they use, they just give you like something like an Apple Watch, and then you commit and you advise make certain positive changes in your lifestyle, like your diet or what's your activity profile for the day. And it's a little bit sophisticated motivation system. In the end, you can kind of get your Apple Watch almost for free. But their like weekly motivation thing is free coffee from Starbucks. And you'd be amazed how many things we can do for like free coffee from Starbucks. And the funny thing is you always think that it's going to be like the fittest and healthiest guys who will take this. It's not. Actually, the people who are in need of these radical changes, they are like the first embracers of free coffee from Starbucks and positive lifestyle changes. So it all works for everyone. People spend one day less in the hospital. People spend, 1 day more on work. Their happiness, index increase, and they just becoming more healthier patients, human beings, and family members. So I like all of that. Aubrey, I'm always quoting this thing, and I think our definition of how we think about human body and why this whole thing became investable and interesting for all of us. And I'm very happy to see, as a chemical engineer by first degree, when we move in from biological take on human body and mind and implementing more engineering approach. The way we think about longevity and Longevity Vision Fund is going to be in the article in one of the major publications in the US in a month's time. So, every time I kind of read something confusing or interesting on longevity, I try to put it in 3 buckets. So horizon number 1 is something that we can do today. It's like early diagnostic or much more accessible version of devices. So there's something that we can do today. Horizon number 2, and this is where the major focus of our fund is some breakthrough technologies that are in a development phase now, but we're going to benefit in the next 5 to 10 to 15 years, and will help us to break the 122 or 123 years barrier for the human life. And then horizon number 3, we did discuss this already. It's all visionary, scary stuff. I don't know if I want to be there, but it is about reversing aging. It is about detaching our mind from our body and hopefully doing like monthly backups and creating virtual versions of ourselves for the loved ones. Again, it's all in the future. We shouldn't worry, and I will not put a lot of money into that. But I think it's just important to understand the elements of that coming to our life and the companies that we're all starting. That's it. Stay with us, and I think we just need to do much better job communicating with the public rather than in this kind of closed circle when everyone knows each other. So this is what I'm trying to do, and obviously I encourage many of you to do at least one public talk with completely unprepared audience. My best experience was in LA library with like 400 the kids. I'm 48, so they were kids for me, but like 20 to 25 years old audience. They have completely different perspective on longevity. So, let's try to do this service to the public, and let's create much more positive engagement about the things that we do and about things that we don't do. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.